and you will receive that recording probably later on this evening or tomorrow morning. So if you do want to go back and reference anything that is covered during the session, feel free to do so. The chat is open. We will have a designated Q&A at the end of the session, so I would hold off on questions until then. So just keep in mind the chat is open, so feel free to use that. And then just a reminder, camera off, make sure you're muted. And then from here, what I will do is I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Jakes. Dr. Jakes, the show is yours.
Thanks so much, RJ. And thank you all for attending. It's a great opportunity. I love doing these types of sessions, and especially amongst fellow alum. I'm also a WGU alum. I guess I should go into my spiel about myself a little bit, right? So again, I'm Jackie. I have been here at WGU as a course instructor. Next month will be 10 years. Prior to that, clearly, as you can see behind me, I was I was in service. I was a naval officer that was charged with responsibility of what do you call OCL, offensive cyber, right? So, being a hacker turned cybersecurity specialist was essentially like a great path to take, because you have a great idea as to what the bad guys do. During my time here at WGU, I've done a lot of consulting, just keeping the knife sharp. Companies like Microsoft, Department of Homeland Security, et cetera, et cetera. I also teach digital forensics for the Bachelor's of Cybersecurity, and for the Bachelor's of Cybersecurity Information Assurance program. I pretty much taught everything at some point or another. It's been 10 years, but right now I teach digital forensics and a couple of other security-based courses, right? And again, just looking forward to having you guys share some of your experiences, so that you can motivate the masses, right? There are a lot of people that are coming behind you, and I feel like I'm passing off the torch right now. So without further ado, we're going to get into some of the questions, and I'm going to. I don't know if I should call on people individually. I'll tell you what. I'm just going to put the question out there, and we'll do a round robin per se. All right. Everybody okay with that? All right, awesome. So if I could, I did my introduction. If we could start with you guys, Benjamin, you mind going first?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jackie. So my name is Ben Scott. I am a WGU alum and of the Masters in Cybersecurity and Information Assurance. I graduated in 2021, and I was a WGU Distinguished Graduate Award winner in 2023. So happy to be here. Currently, I work at a company called Fortinet. So we are a cybersecurity and networking company. And I also am an adjunct professor of cybersecurity at a local community college here in Ohio, as well as a cyber reservist in the Ohio Cyber Reserve. And I am actually starting a new adjunct role at another local community college in conjunction with that starting next semester. So definitely like to keep active in the community and local groups such as the ISSA and CS2AI, which is more operational technology, cybersecurity focused. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, man. With that, Mike, you got to be a podcaster. Come on. Michael.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Turner. Like Ben, I've got quite a few hats of myself. First and foremost, I'm the cybersecurity engineering lead for the city of Virginia Beach. I also do some part-time CISO work for one of the property management companies in my area. I'm also an adjunct faculty member at ECPI University for the undergraduate.
Okay, awesome. I actually taught at ECPI in Newport News for many, many moons ago.
I thought I might have recognized your name coming across some of those documents seen on the faculty side.
Yeah, I don't think I was very good then, so we're just gonna keep that on the low. Angela.
Awesome. So I'm Angela. I am probably the newest to the cybersecurity world of the three of us panelists. I'm actually what they call a career pivoter. I spent about 18 years as a technical recruiter, wondering what I wanted to do when I grew up. And then I actually started recruiting for a company called SonicWall and fell in love with cybersecurity. And that's when I knew I needed to go back to school and learn all about it. So I actually got my bachelor's and my master's in cybersecurity from WGU. I had a business degree prior, and now I'm actually working for SonicWall as a solutions engineer. So now I'm kind of on the technical side of things. And I'm also currently enrolled in a doctorate program. My passion, which kind of surprised me through this whole journey, I went to WGU. I wanted to be a red teamer because, you know, that's the awesome thing to be, right? A pen tester. I fell in love with digital forensics. And yeah, that's what I'd like to do eventually is once I get my doctorate, then I'm going to open up my own digital consulting firm. And it's been a really interesting journey so far.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely awesome. Yay, digital forensics. So, you know, before I lose my train of thought, Michael, well, actually, both of you guys are adjunct professors. Why do you want to come back home? As in teach at WGU. But that's a question for later. That's a question for later. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right. So first question, can you guys talk a little bit about your journey, right? You know, earning your cybersecurity degree and how that assists in your current role and some of the key steps and decisions that help shape your career.
I can go ahead and jump in. So, you know, I started my career off in early 2012, 2013 timeframe in networking. So mostly network switch routing on the carrier side. Did a little bit of cyber work, but we didn't really call it cyber back then in that sense. So it was more just around network security and architecture. So over the years, I like you know, Angela, had my bachelor's in business, and you know, while I was on the technical side, didn't necessarily have the creds, so to speak. So, you know, going to WGU, you know, earning the certified ethical hacker and the you know various other certifications that really kicked off for me during my time at WGU was really foundational in solidifying my place in the cybersecurity community locally, as well as really providing avenues for doing adjunct work, right? So, you know, the pivot from really practitioner to then practitioner and educator was just kind of a natural progression as part of my, I guess, journey, so to speak, in the education pathway. And that passion for just continuous learning and always wanting to keep on the edge of what the newest technology is. You know, it's always evolving and adapting and changing based on, you know, current trends of technology and adversarial behavior. So just that's really what helped shape my career, was just that drive and passion for learning, and WGU was really a pivotal part of my career in helping shape that.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I would just want to add one caveat for all those participants, all the 59 other personnel that are here, right? If any of you guys are system administrators, or if you're on the work, if you are actually do this for a living as far as like networking is concerned, that is a great segue into cyber, right? I mean, it gives you so much. So, I mean, you understand how routers work. You understand how networks talk to one another. You understand what topologies are, right? And the inner workings, you know, understand the OSI model. As simplistic as all this may sound, it does pay dividends. How can you protect something if you don't know what it looks like? And that's what networking gives you. So kudos to you. Michael.
There we go. So my journey in kind of IT and cyber as a whole started way back in 2005, actually. I've been in IT for a very, very long time and gotten to see everything kind of grow and progress from, you know, the work group side of networking to now we have multinational and global domains that are being utilized. I didn't go actually start my undergraduate until 2014 and I didn't come to WGU until 2022. So being able to progress up to that point, once I got to WGU, I already had that really good, solid foundation. And enrolling in the cybersecurity master's program here, I think was a good validation of the stuff I knew already, which was nice because, got to kind of progress through it as quickly as I needed to, got to take my time on some other stuff. And when I came back again in 23 to do the MBA program, I got kind of a different side of the house with that and got exposure to the business side of the house to kind of further branch out on what is cyber besides something just technical. What is the business side of it? How do the decisions we make as technical people affect overall business processes throughout the organization as a whole, not just within one specific team or one specific solution? And I think that's been really, really extraordinary, honestly, being able to see it from both of those viewpoints, having been brought up on the technical side and then introducing the business side to see them kind of meld together. It's given a very unique perspective on how to approach cyber work as a whole.
Awesome. One quick question, Michael. You went a long time before you actually started to pursue your degree. Did you incur some roadblocks and you figured, let me go ahead and get this thing so I can progress in my career?
So from 2005 to 2015, I was actually running my own business, doing a lot of like small business, home office kind of setup with networking and systems administration and stuff like that. There was a little bit of cyber work there, but not a whole lot. And so when I decided, hey, you know what, one day I might actually want to retire, that was when I started running into those roadblocks and going, okay, hey, I should probably go ahead and get an education. So that way, when I go out to real businesses, not something I'm just running myself, I can present myself as somebody who actually has the credentials and the qualifications to do the type of roles that I know I can do.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Angela, tell us about your journey.
So my journey has been a lot different than like other guys. I was actually working for Palo Alto as a technical recruiter back in, I think, the end of 2022, and the entire department was laid off. I mean, the money was fantastic. Let me just clarify, that was great money, but the stability of it was just not there. In that kind of role, it was very dependent on the economy and how things were going. I mean, if you're not hiring any roles, you don't need recruiters. So I decided, okay, if I'm ever actually going to make cybersecurity a go and give it an honest go, I mean, now it's time. So luckily, I had some savings, and I literally just devoted my time 24/7 to going back and finishing my bachelor's degree. And I finished it in 11 months. One of the big things that was really a huge differentiator for me with WGU was the fact that the industry certifications rolled into the program. If I were to go out and pursue those on my own, they get really expensive really quickly. And with WGU, up to 2 tries, I think it's actually included in the cost. It was a huge, big selling point for me because I was like, I'm going to walk away not only with a degree, but with industry certifications as well. And speaking as a former recruiter, let me just tell everyone on this call here, those industry certifications, they will definitely set you apart from any other people out there that are looking for work. While obviously experience is, numero number 1 when you're looking at resumes, I guarantee you I've had hiring managers come to me and say, we really need somebody with a Security Plus, or we really need somebody with a CEH. Like those things, hiring managers actively are looking for. So that was a huge selling point for me. And then I stayed with it with my master's degree, and yeah, it was a great journey, and I'm lucky that I landed where I did. But there's a lot of things you can do in terms of networking and sharing your journey. As corny as that sounds, every single time I passed a certification, I was on LinkedIn sharing it. I was so happy because I was like, here's this self-proclaimed girl that was never really a techie. Oh my God, I just passed my A+. Can you believe it? I mean, those little things, people are watching. And it was one of the hiring managers actually that I had recruited for that I, back when I was at SonicWall, that was like, hey, Angela, I've seen your journey. I know you're an awesome worker. I'm opening up a solutions engineer role. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah.
Awesome.
Be very transparent with your journey.
That is great. That is great. I want to highlight something. She said, and I'm going to say it again louder for the people in the back. The WGU gives you you can achieve your degree with certifications, with industry certifications. All right. So, that is huge. And we are one of the few universities out there that, even entertain that. Right. And we're looking at ways to get better every day. All right. So, on to my next question. All right. What are some of the biggest challenges you guys have faced while working in the cybersecurity field? And if you could tether it to your WGU education to speak to how, some of the things you may have learned could persist. Well,
I can kick this one off as
yeah,
well.
you up, man.
Yeah. So I'd say one of the biggest challenges, in the cybersecurity in general, but really, from a career perspective in cybersecurity is understanding how to keep ahead of the different, fast-paced and evolving threats that come into the marketplace and that really affect the organizations that we're trying to protect. And so staying ahead of these threats and keeping systems secure, the landscape or the attack surface has really expanded in the last few years, right? We used to just be concerned about perimeter security and making sure that our endpoints were secure. Now we're worrying about things like IoT and IIoT, and we're worrying about things like convergence between operational technology and information technology, and protecting that convergence. And how do we ensure that assets are secure and segmented properly? And we're dealing with the emergence of AI being utilized from an adversarial perspective, weaponized in that sense. So looking at those trends, though, I think that WGU really, especially the curriculum and the what I really emphasized, the mentor program was fantastic in helping develop this, but really just having a guide available internally of how do I keep ahead of these threats, how do I from WGU, right? Like we had a lot of hands-on labs, scenario-based learning, that really push you to think critically and apply solutions quickly to resolve the matter at hand. And a lot of that was built around the certifications that allowed me to be competitive in the field, but also empowered me to have that self-driving motivation to keep on top of these types of so then utilizing tools like Hack the Box and Try Hack Me and so on. So just keeping those things alive, right? At post degree is essential to ensuring that you're constantly keeping ahead of the newest and most developing threats. So. And also, and I would say the last thing, I'm sorry, I want to add this real quick, but the one thing that WGU has really helped me with is the ability to communicate effectively with both technical and non-technical stakeholders. I can't emphasize the importance of 90% of your job is going to be paperwork and writing reports and documenting things and doing designs in Visio and then presenting those and whiteboarding. So the key to all that is being able to take very complex and technical concepts and translate that to business risk to non-technical stakeholders. And WGU did a great job, at least in the master's program, I felt, of really going through that process and translating that to make business impact, right? At the end of the day, you can show them all the technical designs you want, you can show them the best way to do something, but if you can't tie that to their specific needs or expect an outcome, or how's it going to drive profit or drive revenue or secure private information, it's not going to make a difference, right? So you really have to understand how to communicate that.
Awesome. Great answer. What do we got, Michael?
Honestly, one of the biggest things I think that we keep running into as an industry is kind of the pushback, kind of building on what Ben said, that pushback from non-technical people, and even from technical people as well. Being able to say, hey, we really need to do this for some kind of a compliance item or a regulation that's been passed. We've seen a lot of new regulations come out over the last 5 to 10 years with emerging technologies coming through, people saying, hey, we need to make sure we're covered on this. How do we, I'm my chair to stop, sorry. We need to make sure that we're covered on all this stuff. We need to make sure that we have controls in place to make sure it's handling all the data that we have appropriately. Whereas a lot of the non-technical people are just like, no, we're good. We're going to use it. And I think that one of the best things that WGU did throughout the master's program is really push the need for research. To be able to say, hey, I have this topic, I'm going to teach myself about it. You have to really dive into it to make sure you fully understand it from all perspectives. Because as you're presenting the papers and turning them in, or if you're doing labs and writing reports on them, you're not turning these assignments into technical people necessarily, right? A lot of these assignments are being turned into non-technical people who, yes, they're checking the boxes on, the criteria sheet for it, but they still have to be able to read through it and kind of get a general idea of what you're talking about. So forcing that kind of form of submission translates really well into the corporate world, I think.
Awesome. It sounds like there's a two-part ordeal here, right? There's an executive summary with all the finite details of an incident or come what may, and then there's the letter that's written in crayon to the CEO to explain what happened.
Yep.
So what do we have, Angela?
Well, for me, there were three kind of big challenges that that I kind of went throughout the whole journey and kind of into, my new career path. Imposter syndrome. It is a real thing. It is. There will be moments where you are actually wondering if this is even what you're supposed to be doing. One of the things that I found in those times of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? I looked up at the wall. I took every single certification, every degree that I've ever gotten, and I put them up on my wall. It is my brag hallway. Everyone who walks down there, they're like, wow, she's really full of herself. But that's honestly by design, because I need that reassurance that, okay, no, I remember who I am now. And then you can go. And one of the things I think that was another big challenge for me was understanding that this type of field, there will never be a moment where you stop learning. You will learn every single day. It is not one of those types of jobs where you go and you learn everything and you're like, okay, great, I'm an expert now. As a matter of fact, anyone that calls themselves a cybersecurity expert, I kind of look at with a little side eye, because it changes so often. It's not something that you can truly master because it's different today than it was yesterday. So understanding that you're always going to be learning in this field, and it's okay to not know everything. It's actually normal to not know everything, but being able to research things and kind of that basic understanding that you had mentioned, Dr. Jakes, about how can you protect a computer if you don't understand how it works? Understanding the fundamentals is key. You can't start learning all the fun cybersecurity stuff unless you understand how a computer functions. And then time, making school a priority, and understanding that your sacrifices are just a momentary pain for a lifetime reward. So just making sure that it's a priority in your life. But those were kind of the three big things that I've been struggling with.
Yeah, great story, Angela. Great answer. I'll share a very short story for sake of time, because mine is my answer is a little different. I was actually in service, and I was at what they call Navy Cyber Defense Operations Command. You might be familiar. Michael's out in Virginia Beach at one point, inside in Suffolk, Virginia now. And we got the naval network, the unclassified network, got attacked, major attack, Iranians, right? And at those times, everybody's hair is on fire. You're trying to stop the bleeding. You're executing a lot of things you guys have learned from a digital forensics perspective. Looking through PCAP, looking through all types of IDSs, IPSs, trying to figure out what happened. How can we find his adversary? How can we stop him? Right? How can we eradicate him? Get him out of our networks? Well, the first thing you want to do is find out. You want to pull a string and figure out how they got in. And going back to Benjamin for a minute, that good old routing 101, right? Took a look at the routing statement, ACL. last statement, any. So we know what that means. I mean, that means we were wide open. And but again, even though I had already learned that prior to, it was reinforced during my CCNA course at WGU. So students, pay attention. There's a lot that you will learn here, and that'll help combat a lot of that imposter syndrome as well. That's going to be a thing that's going to happen no matter where you go. You're going to hear a bunch of acronyms and things that you're just not prepared for, you never heard of. But it just understand that everybody goes through it, right? All right, good deal, good stuff. Now, I love this question. What emerging trends or technologies in cybersecurity are you most excited about, and how do you stay up to date on industry developments? Ben.
Thank you, sir. You know, there's a lot that excites me that's upcoming in the field of cybersecurity. You know, the new quantum encryption standards are exciting. Interesting to see how that'll be implemented into the network security world, as far as, you know, encryption at rest, encryption in transit, but or for data in transit and data at rest. But the other thing that really excites me, and I'm seeing more and more of, and it keeps coming up in conversations, is the utilization of not just necessarily AI in cybersecurity, but Gen AI, in the sense that for a lot of organizations, they struggle to really keep up and manage from a security operations perspective all the different alerts and detections and you know, false positives, and how do you maintain the really the I guess how do you maintain the efficiency while also ensuring that your environment's secure. And really, Gen AI, based on a lot of the use cases and the way I've seen it employed so far, has really taken that concept and formed it into a conversational aspect, with being able to interact with your data at a real layer, where you can query, you know, utilizing Gen AI, the vast amounts of data that may be in your different tool sets within your SOC, to get very specific answers and correlations, and be able to really answer business problems and risks with those data sets, but in a way that can be more impactful, and in a way that makes a lot more sense to the end user, right? Dashboards and widgets and blinky lights are really cool, but being able to interact with your data in a way that's more impactful to you, and being able just to almost talk to your tool sets, and get that, you know, what is the correlation of these three things, right? Like, how are these three things related in my environment? Are we seeing anything? And being able to just talk to the systems is going to be a very interesting field, and as far as how that develops out. And I think it'll play a pretty pivotal role. You know, that's just one application of that. And you know, I think it's important just due to the fact that, you know, our adversaries are doing the same thing, right? So our adversaries are utilizing AI to develop malware and develop tools you know, make more sophisticated phishing attacks, right? So being able to keep up on the other side of the house, on the defender side of the house, I think that's a pretty exciting concept. So
Awesome, man. Great answer.
and how do I stay up to date? I read a lot. Podcasts are huge for me. I use a lot of RSS feeds to multiple, you know, dark reading, etc. A lot of threat intel feeds from different vendors that I keep up to date with, and just, you know, I have a whole inbox in my email just dedicated to like news and updated CVEs and what's going on in the industry as a whole. So that's how I consume data.
Great stuff. Michael.
So I'm honestly most interested to see the development of cybersecurity as a field within the automotive industry. We've got a couple of companies, Tesla being the kind of the name one, that are looking to do driverless cars at this point. And I think, you know, I think everybody kind of has the same concern about, oh my God, what happens if somebody hacks this car, right? They're gonna, you know, drive it into a building or something like that, sure. But also looking at the privacy concerns that are going to come with having a car that's basically 90% software at this point. You're sitting inside the computer itself, and what is that going to look like when it comes to keeping not only the data that's being processed inside that vehicle secure. From a car diagnostic standpoint, but also we're using them as taxis. How do we keep the customer data secure on that side? How are we going to end up securing these, WAN type networks so that we don't have to worry about somebody, yes, hacking the car, but also keeping the customer's privacy safe. I think that's going to be a really interesting kind of emerging field. I won't say emerging technology necessarily, but an emerging trend that people are going to start looking at. It'll be very interesting to see how it all develops and what kind of new standards come out from that new development. As far as staying up to date, kind of along the same lines as Ben. Find the newsletters on LinkedIn, subscribe to those mailing lists. They generally will have some overlap, but kind of diversifying it out and making sure that you're consuming data or consuming that information from multiple different sources, from different fields as well. A good way to stay kind of abreast of what's going on.
Okay, great stuff. Angela.
So I'm kind of pivoting off of what Benjamin was talking about with the AI, specifically in kind of more of the defense side of things. I'm really excited in kind of what that's going to look like in the future. I mean, like it or not, AI is here to stay, and the bad guys are using it, so it's kind of silly if we don't use it to help kind of combat them. But ethically, of course, there's always that caveat when it comes to using AI, that you're doing it in a ethical way. My dissertation actually has to do with AI automation in digital forensics. As you know, digital forensic technicians, I mean, everyone leaves a much broader digital footprint now with all types of different smart devices and all types of things. So their caseloads are just horrendously backlogged. And there's a lot of different functions that can actually be sped up through artificial intelligence, but also keeping in mind that bias and data privacy and security and those things are obviously of consideration. But I'm really interested in kind of seeing how that evolves. And then I know there's already some AI technology embedded in some providers' products. I know SonicWall actually uses a tool called Capture ATP, or Capture Advanced Threat Protection. So it's essentially like a malware sandbox that also uses artificial intelligence to kind of help automate that process. And I know Cortex XIM, which is a Palo Alto product. It's kind of like a SIEM and SOC that uses AI. So it's already kind of starting to happen. But I'm very interested in kind of seeing how that evolves in that standpoint. And in terms of how I kind of keep up to date with industry developments, I read Wired a lot, and RSS feeds and that sort of thing. So.
Okay, great. Nobody said Reddit, and I'm glad to hear that. My name's all over Reddit. Anyway, so moving on to the next question, and this is more so geared towards the additional participants on the call. You guys are already out there. You guys have already gotten your degrees and gotten your certifications, and now part of the workforce. And it's a highly competitive environment out there, right? What advice could you give students that are just starting out? What type of confidence or experiences would you share with them, and what do you feel like they should be doing at this point?
I know it's a question later on, but networking is definitely essential, so I'll keep that portion brief there as far as networking is concerned. But one, putting your name out there, and just I would say the more interaction you get with professionals in the field from a event perspective is huge. And there's a lot of events out there. I know just in the last month alone, in the local community colleges and industry groups around where I live in Ohio, there's been about 7 or 8 of them. And every single one of them that I've been to and spoken at, there have been numerous individuals from organizations that are hiring for cybersecurity professionals, or systems admins or help desk admins, or just entry level roles, or even some that are hiring for more complex roles, and they're actively looking for people. And so on that aspect, getting out and just becoming very active in your community, and that aspect is huge. But from a certification perspective, really finding your niche, and whether that be cloud or network or operational technology or whatever that realm looks like, finding it and really focusing in and honing on the tool sets and the certifications around those, as well as industry. A lot of industry partners have certification paths. Some of them have a lot of free ones out there that you can take advantage of to really just start building that tool belt, so to speak, of certifications. And then there's the vendor neutral certifications like SANS and CompTIA and so on, that really do help provide that generalized knowledge base of that's from a more neutral perspective. So I'd say find your niche, find your passion when it comes to cybersecurity. Where do you really want to take your next step? And if you don't know, talk to people that are in the different fields. They'll quickly tell you what's their day to day. Why are they passionate about it? What personality does it take to really excel at that? Because it is really personality driven. It's interesting there's a whole science behind that actually, that I've been looked into extensively, and there's a lot of really great videos on YouTube of presentations on that. But personality, it has a lot to do with where you want to go in cybersecurity and what lines best. So I think finding that niche and then really finding certification paths along that. The big thing too is NICE framework is fantastic for understanding what skill sets that you have, and ties in a little bit of that personal experience into how do you align that with your career overall. There's a lot of great resources from CISA as well as other federal agencies as well that can help you build out your career path and your certification path for that. So highly recommend taking advantage of the resources that CISA and a few other government organizations provide, as well as the NICE framework to really help shape that. And take a personality test. Those are always great for me as far as like, where do I want to go next?
What do you got, Michael? Great answers. Great stuff, man.
Yeah, so landing your first cyber job, we all know this is a very highly competitive market. It's a very highly competitive field. That it doesn't always seem like it's going to be possible to find that first one. One of the big things that I personally have always experienced is this next step up is also the roadblock. You have to have experience to get experience, right? So if you have an opportunity in your current role to do something cyber related, do it. Whether that's contributing to knowledge base articles maybe, or writing a script that does something that automates it, makes it go a little bit faster. If you have an opportunity to do something related to security, even in a non-security role, that will kind of help show the potential employers, the people that you're applying to, like, hey, I know it's not security related, but check out what I did that was security. I think that definitely does help kind of set you apart. Any kind of hands-on experience that you can give yourself, even in whether it's an entry-level role or it's something you do on your own in your free time, whether building out home labs, practicing on, Kali Linux, for example. If you want to be a penetration tester, is a great way to do that, and build up that portfolio to show the results of what you've been doing, so that when you go to apply for that first cybersecurity job, you're not just looking at them and saying, well, this is something I know I really want to do, but I don't have anything to show for it yet.
Thanks so much. Angela, I'm looking forward to this for the technical recruiter.
So kind of coming from a technical recruiter, that was really a big help for me in terms of kind of trying to find that job, that first job anyway. But like I said before, network. Build out your LinkedIn page now. Connect to lots of people in the industry. Don't be shy. Even if you don't know them, you've never, just like, do not be picky with who you can just connect. Because you would be surprised at where those connections could essentially, get you. And then, like I said before, share your journey. Don't be afraid to celebrate the little wins. Share your journey with your LinkedIn followers. A lot of the times you'll be surprised at who's kind of keeping an eye on your progress. And then building a home lab. Participating in things like Hack the Box, Try Hack Me exercises, Capture the Flag competitions, anything that you can actually, add to your resume to showcase your passion for cybersecurity. If you don't have a resume, or if you kind of need help with that, take advantage of WGU's career services. They have, people that are there to kind of help you and guide you in that respect. And then also as a recruiter, well, not anymore, but my recruiter hat still sometimes goes on. When you're listing out your certifications on your resume, don't list those blanket certifications. So I'm talking about the CompTIA ones where they stack. Don't bother listing those on there. List out the actual individual certifications instead, because I will tell you as a recruiter, I don't know what CIOS is. I don't know what CSI, I won't know any of that. All I know is what a Security Plus certification is. And so when I go and I'm looking for somebody that has a Security Plus certification, if that's not listed on your resume, but that stackable one is, I'm probably going to bypass you. So just a little tip of advice there. And then don't be afraid to start in IT. Like I said, you have to kind of understand the fundamental concepts of how networking works. I was bored senseless learning about connectors and cables and all of this fun stuff, but I knew that this was the foray into cybersecurity. I wouldn't understand how a lot of this worked unless I understood kind of fundamentally, what was underneath the hood on my PC, for example. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have there.
That's a lot, but it's all great stuff. All great. I'm gonna take a moment for all you BSCSAA and MSCSAA students. I'm gonna take a moment to really promote the Cyber Club. All right, the Cyber Club is a great opportunity for you guys to get hands-on experience, and via multiple virtual labs, via having conversations with people that have been doing this a really long time, or intermediate, or just just getting started. There's various levels. There's no judgment. There's no dumb questions, and it's a great opportunity for you to come in and to help home in on your skill set. So staying in that same vein of homing your skill set and recruiting, I have a question. I want to know, like, throughout you guys, is once you get past the initial recruiter, did you guys talk to me about the hiring process? Like, was there a practical? Did somebody say, "Hey, okay, well, go ahead and show me how to use this specific tool," or show me answer these questions that are related to your skill set that you're advertising? Ben?
Yeah, I would say that, and I'm probably a really poor example of that process. I've never actually had to like go through the standard application process for any of my roles, and that sounds weird, but in the sense that I've 100% relied on driving relationships and just technical contacts in my career. And anytime something's opened up where I just got tapped on the shoulder. So I'm a poor example of that. So I won't speak to that, and probably in that aspect. But I will say in the process where I have had to at least I've bypassed the first couple steps in that sense and gone to the technical interview component. The demonstration of your knowledge does typically fall into, can you communicate a solution or a technology that you're confident in, and what does that look like in application to solving a business problem, right? So can you demonstrate your use or knowledge of a tool? And so in a lot of those discussions that I've had, where I've been in that situation, being able to have a topic that you're really confident about and that you're really passionate about, and being able to present on that. Find something that when you're doing interviews that you have a solid base understanding of, and when it comes to, because they'll quiz you on that, right? They'll ask you questions inside and out about the topic of your choice or the solution that you've chosen to display, and in some of the organizations in the cybersecurity space, like the Palos, the Fortinets, the Cisco's of the world, they'll oftentimes ask you to present something or a business case on their tool set, and they'll provide you all the resources and say, hey, build a solution based on all of these things here, then present it to us on a panel discussion, and what that looks like. And so being able to take what you're confident about and being able to translate that into other vendors' nomenclatures is oftentimes very important as well. So I'd say being very diverse in that aspect is beneficial. That's why it's good to understand how different competitors work in the vendor market space of cybersecurity.
Awesome, awesome, great answer. How about you, Michael?
Yeah, I've never actually been asked to kind of display my skills in like a live environment during an interview, but they absolutely have grilled me on something that I've claimed I was an expert in, and more than once I've definitely kind of fell short of probably what that expert level would be. So if you're putting yourself down as an expert on something on your resume, make sure that you actually are an expert on it because they will jump on that, especially if it's something that they're looking for. And if you're something where you're like, okay, I want to be an expert in it. I want to get the job doing, penetration testing, for example. I know it's kind of the big one that everybody goes into cybersecurity for. If that's something that you want to be an expert in, do it until you can explain it to a 3-year-old. If you can teach a 3-year-old how to do whatever task it is you want to do, whatever kind of job it is you want to do, then you're probably good to go to call yourself an expert in it. If you're not yet at that point, you might want to train up a little bit more before you call yourself an expert. Make sure that if you can explain it to a 10-year-old, you can list that on your resume. At that point, you can pretty much explain it to anybody. But yeah, you have to be very, very careful when using the word expert, or they will come down on you for sure.
Angela.
Yeah, so my journey was a little different. When I was reached out to by the hiring manager, they already knew me. They already knew what my work ethic was like. So I didn't really have a traditional kind of technical interview, but I can tell you from the other side of the fence, kind of what the experience was like at some companies that I used to work for. At Palo Alto, initially, they do have like a coding live coding test that you'd actually sit on with an engineer, and he'd ask you to create some code. Amazon was also kind of a grilling place as well. I don't know if it's changed since I was last there, but they did have like a full day of interviews. You'd even have lunch with the hiring manager, and some of the interviews involved coding and that sort of thing, just depending on the role. So yeah, they can get pretty demanding, but a lot of the larger organizations, I think, tend to have kind of that live coding stuff. Smaller organizations, I don't think, are quite that thorough. So if you're looking kind of for a nice kind of easy step into cybersecurity, I would say kind of target some of the smaller companies. The larger ones tend to be a little bit more strict in terms of exactly what they're looking for, and can be difficult to break into.
Okay, yeah, great answer, great answer. All right, I think we have time for one more. So, what do you guys and gals think about the future of cybersecurity, right? In the next 5 to 10 years, and how should your students and new graduates prepare to adapt to these changes?
Yeah, the one of the things that in the students that I work with as an adjunct that I really hit home to them is that the folks that will see the most success in the next 5-10 years in the cybersecurity career are the individuals who quickly adopt and learn the new technologies that are coming out as they come out. So really being able to understand and utilize, I think generative AI is going to be vastly important in your day-to-day. So how are you optimizing your day-to-day activities, utilizing these new technologies, generative AI, and so on? Because I think in order for us to keep pace, both from a security perspective, there's a lot of sophisticated threats, targeting critical infrastructure, targeting network environments, and that's adapting very quickly. On the opposing side, right, from the defender perspective and just a career perspective, being able to keep up with that pace is going to be vital. And so utilizing those tools to really strengthen your skill set and adapt in that sense is going to be, I think, pivotal. I think that if from a coding perspective, utilizing AI for code generation and QC, and I think from a design, application design, web development, and those facets, right? It's going to be extremely important to understand how to utilize AI to keep pace, because there's companies out there that are automating a lot of this. So being able to understand how to look and do the quality control for what AI is outputting is going to be a huge field. I think AI development and code development is going to be a huge area of cybersecurity and just in IT in general. I think it's going to be a whole new field around secure development of these large language models, and how do we secure the backend data. Data science is going to be a huge field, and the merger between computer science and data science is going to be something we'll see very quickly. So I want to keep it brief, but that's just some of the outlook things I see as far as like how things are going to converge in those different domains.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Michael?
Yeah, so I think there's probably two big things that we're going to see a big shift in over the next 5 to 10 years. The first big one that everybody's going to be able to witness is a big change to privacy and data protection regulations. With the advent of level 3 AI probably being on the cusp here pretty soon, with level 2 being where it is right now, there's already a lot of concerns with how that data is being handled, how it's being parsed, how it's being used for training. I think we're probably going to see that even within the next 2 to 3 years. We're going to start seeing regulations governing the use of AI coming out from probably the federal and state levels. Then that's going to be, and it's not going to get any smaller. It's just going to keep growing, right? The other big thing I think we're going to see a lot more of is resurgence with quantum computing, specifically with quantum cryptography. I think we're going to probably see probably closer to the 10-year mark. I'm kind of hopeful for it because I think it'd be really exciting to see kind of a merger between physics and computer science, especially as we start to develop the technologies to be able to readily utilize quantum cryptography. We're going to probably have to tap into the physics field to, number one, understand how all the stuff works together and to reliably use it in a meaningful way. I think once we see that happen, we're gonna hit another technology boom at that point.
Personally, I don't think we got 10 years. I think we got less time than that. Angela.
So there's kind of a lot of different notes that I've been taking here. Obviously, AI is the big one. It's definitely going to continue to morph and grow, and I agree with Michael's assessment that there will soon become some regulatory governing kind of things that will come out. I can't think. Words are hard today. Other things that I think I'd like to kind of keep an eye on that I think will kind of become more emergent in the next 5 to 10 years. Things like zero trust network architectures. I know they're still kind of relatively newish to the space, but I think that those are definitely going to be kind of the standard moving forward. And then other things like embedded systems technologies, operational technologies like ICS and SCADA. And then digital forensics, that's my shtick. I love digital forensics. It's definitely a space that's going to continue to grow in the next 5 to 10 years. It is still very relatively new technology, newish, I guess, but it's definitely going to be one that's going to become even more rampant. So I guess some of the kind of key traits that would make a person successful in anything within cybersecurity is to be adaptable, able to pivot, and comfortable with continuous learning. Like I said, this is not a field that you learn everything in one day and then you're set for the next 20 years. No, it's definitely a learn everything, learn something new every day.
Absolutely. Wow, great stuff. Great discussion all together. You guys have been absolutely awesome. I just wanted, before I hand it back over to RJ, I just wanted to, again, I've been doing this thing a long time, all right? I'm almost at 3 decades, right? I was around long before cyber was a thing, all right? So, and as a senior instructor for the Bachelor of Cybersecurity undergrad program, I get questions from students all the time, all right? And just paying attention to some of the things that are being said in the chat, You know, you guys are, I can tell there's a lot of people who are fairly new and, you know, probably just getting an introduction to cyber. And, you know, you guys are welcoming other individuals and wanting to network. And that's a great start. But just know that you get out of this exactly what you put into it, just like everything else in life, right? Effort will take you so far. All right. There are going to be times where you're going to be challenged. You're going to hit imposter syndrome in your degree plan. All right. There are going to be times in which you're going to be introduced to something that's going to be completely foreign to you. And you have to exercise the, you know, the fortitude and the, you know, the desire to want to move forward. You know, lean on your program mentor, lean on your course instructor, lean on, you know, the cyber club, your peers. There's all types of new developments that are happening within, you know, your programs on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. All right. So take advantage of it. And then too, you know, when you're, for those who are a little bit more advanced and maybe already communicating and going out on these job interviews, understand that it's your responsibility to ask questions of that organization as well, right? You're trying to see if they're a good fit for you as just as much as they're trying to see if you're a good fit for them. You know, uncommunicated expectations breed premeditated resentment. I'm gonna say that for y'all again. Uncommunicated expectations breed premeditated resentment on both ends. You guys who aren't married, you want to write that one down too. Anyway, but in all seriousness, you know, just stay engaged and just know that the staff and I, and as well as your fellow alum, we're all here to support you, and everybody wants to see you win. And my last plug is if you are in the Bachelor's of Cyber program, you know, either one of the cyber programs, please attend TED Talks. All right, we bring on a whole, you know, we have had guests from Google, Microsoft, recruiters from CISA, you name it. We brought these people in and engaged with students, and you know, students have actually gotten jobs and come what may from these opportunities. So we're taking a break from it until the new year, until January. But I highly advise that once you start seeing those emails and advertisement that you engage, because it's going to be even better when we come back in the new year. I think I've ran my mouth enough. Hey, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for all your assistance. And back over to you, RJ.
Awesome, and thank you, one, to the panelists and Dr. Jakes for doing this. One thing I love, especially that's going on right now, is the networking that's going on in the chat, where people are sharing their LinkedIn. Like, that's huge. Like, we can't stress that enough, especially from a career perspective. From our office, networking is such a huge piece. Panelists already shared with you, you know, as far as landing their positions, like that's all done through networking. So I can't stress that enough. So I love seeing that. Reminder, this session was recorded. So if you want to go back and reference anything that was covered, please feel free to do so. Also attached to that recording is going to be a questionnaire. We value your opinion as WGU alums and active students. Should take you no more than 2 minutes to fill that out. So please make sure that you're going back and doing that. Also, this is just one of the sessions that we're running this week for Cyber Week. So keep an eye out for some of those other sessions. We have one more today and then 3 more tomorrow. So if you're interested in attending those, you can register through Handshake. And I'd highly recommend that. But again, thank you, Dr. Jakes. Thank you to the panelists for participating. We certainly appreciate it. And everybody have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. Take care. Thank you.